In this video, we're going to make this Game Boy better than it was new. So I've been enjoying some Game Boy photography. This is an original Game Boy camera. It takes these really cool 0.1 megapixel 4-color grayscale photos. I'm going to do some mods to this. We're going to put a DSLR lens on it, and I'll show you how to get them from the Game Boy onto a computer, because Nintendo didn't officially support that, but that'll be another video, so make sure you subscribe for that. But what I'd like to do is fix up this original Game Boy. This is actually my dad's. It's had a long life. It got abused by me as a kid probably. The battery cover's missing, screen's broken, the front's missing. We'll get it fixed up, better than new, and this will be ready to be used as my Game Boy photography rig. So the first thing is a new back door. I don't know how long ago this went missing. Years. Feels good just to put that on for a start. I'll just open it up to have a look at the damage we've got on the screen here. In saying that, probably have to take this off already. The screws on Game Boys are tri-lobe, which is these little triangle bits. I wish companies would stop doing that, because if someone wants to open it, they're just going to go buy the tool and open it. You're not going to stop it, and all you do is make it annoying to work on. So I was about to pull it apart. What we should probably do is take a quick look at the screen, so we've got something to compare to. So we will load up the old Golf here. So it works. I can hear the battery contacts are pretty dead. You can see we've got bled pixels here, but, well, there it goes. Yeah, we should be able to improve that. Now, I'm not actually sure, is there wires in here? Oh, there's a ribbon cable in here. I've never actually pulled one of these apart before. Probably should have watched some like videos or how-to videos or something so I can see how it comes apart, but we'll just wing it. So between the top half and the bottom half here, we've obviously got this ribbon cable that plugs in, but it looks like there's this spring contact here. There's one there and there's one there. When you bolt it together, they obviously touch on that pad, and then one of the pads up here. I would expect those, because they're a pressure fit, I would expect them to sort of, that would be somewhere you could have corrosion issues, but it all looks okay. Now that I'm looking at this, this has flux on it, like it's been resoldered before, so I wonder if this thing's been repaired a long time ago in the past. For now at least though, this is the battery half. We can put this aside, because the bit we're interested in is the screen half. It looks like Nintendo's also gone back to regular Phillips screws for the inside, rather than the triangle ones. When I started looking into parts for these, I couldn't believe how many parts you could actually still buy and how popular they were for restoring and upgrading. So I think the screen, we'll take these screws all the way out. I'm guessing this will just lift off now, maybe, unless it's like glued. Maybe it's a little bit glued. Oh yeah, I can feel it's like stuck to the front panel. Pretty sure it's just lift off and I'm not going to break it, I think. Hopefully I don't break it. It's broken. It's not broken. We good. Cool. So we can set this piece aside now. And here we have our manky broken screen. So this is where the new parts come in. So, as you can see here, we've got a new motherboard, and more importantly, we have a new screen. The difference is, this screen's actually slightly larger, so as well as a replacement front panel for it, I actually have a glass one rather than a plastic one to make it like a lot nicer to look at, much more resilient to scratches and stuff. And the screen's actually, yeah, 11% larger, and it's backlit now, so we'll be able to see it in the dark. We do have to modify the case slightly to fit this, but it should be pretty easy. So the first thing we're going to do is just test to make sure that the new screen actually works. So you can see the new motherboard versus the old one. The technology difference in the amount of components and stuff that are on the two is pretty awesome. This one, new one's got so much less stuff on it, but we'll just plug it in place. The new one also doesn't seem to use those spring contacts that connect directly to the board, so this should be able to work if we just plug it in on top. So let's connect it up and make sure it actually functions before we go ahead with the rest of it. Ooh, I do not like plugging in these ribbon connectors. They feel like they're going to break every time. Alright, we're all connected up. Hit the power switch, see if anything happens. This feels like it's too easy to be true. Wow, it just works. I'm impressed by that. There's no game in there. Let's put the game in and see if it actually says the Nintendo thing. Where'd the game go? Oh yeah, it's golf time. The camera's not exposing it very well, but it's much nicer with a backlit screen and actually see what's going on. So now that we know the new electronics portion of it works, we can set that aside and modify the case. So all we have to do to the case is enlarge this hole for the bigger screen. We have to cut these two nubby things off. And there's no kill like overkill, so to the milling machine. The big circular saw is probably not the tool for cutting this slot out. Also the rotary head is not handy, so we'll get the big vise over here. But first, instead of our circular saw blade, I'm swapping over to this, which is a 2mm end mill. About the smallest one I've got, so we're going to be running the machine pretty fast. Let's go 2,500, maybe more, 2,700. Getting it ready to machine, the first thing we need is some packers, otherwise the case is going to be all the way down in the bottom of the vise. These are actually cut up bits of linear bearing, so they're very precise and very parallel. I don't know how tight I can do this up. Not very much is my guess. Oh, it's starting to bow already. Alright, I guess that's as tight as it's going to go. Time to start machining. Now unfortunately, when I tighten it up, It bows the case up a little bit because the case is not super rigid, like they didn't want you to clamp it in a milling machine. I think we should be okay. Let's fire it up. I wonder what the actual amount they expect you to take off is. Let's take 2mm and see how we look. This is a carbide end mill, which is really good for hard materials, not like a Game Boy case, but it's very easy to snap it, so hopefully we're okay. Looks good so far. Better than cutting it out with a Stanley knife or a Dremel like most people do. Okay, so the advantage of doing it in the mill now is we still have like perfectly factory looking radiused corners. Need to deburr it still, but I think I'm pretty happy with that. Next thing I gotta do is cut these off. Most people cut them off with side cutters, but now that I'm at the mill, I might just machine them off, which is unnecessary, but let's do it anyway. Now if you're thinking you can't really see what's going on here, yeah, neither can I. See our little nubby things are gone. Ready for assembly. Very happy with that, how that came out. It just looks like it was always like that. That bit there, not so much. I was running the cutter a little bit too, well, I wasn't actually feeding it fast enough for the speed, so the plastic melted to the blob into a blob on the end of it and made the finish look a bit crap, but it doesn't actually matter because it's on the inside. The next thing I have to do is, this is a double-sided piece of tape that sticks the new screen in. So what I've bought is this little bracket that holds the screen in and aligns it. So what I've seen some people recommend to do is you only pull the seal and pull the backing off one side, because we want it on there to stop the dust getting in, but if we glue it, stick it down permanently, you ruin the screen if you have to take it out for any reason. So we'll just peel the backing off one side so it can act as a dust seal because it's got foam in it, but we don't want to glue it down permanently because our bracket will hold the screen in place anyway. So we'll stick that down, see if I can get it straight. Wow, this is very sticky. Oh, here we go. I don't know which way is the best way to put it. Maybe if I keep touching it enough, it'll lose enough stickiness that I can have 2 attempts of putting it down. Okay, I need to take this away from the camera. Alright, that went down correctly. You can't see it sticking out at the front here anywhere. Now we can drop the actual screen in, wherever it's gone. On the bench over here, still attached to our test piece. Yeah. It's fingerprint time. So it actually says in the manual to put the piece of sticky paper back over the board to act as insulation, which, I don't know, seems kind of like a dodgy way to do it, but I guess it works. In theory, this shouldn't be no, I'm not going to do that, that's retarded. It's covered by this plastic thing anyway. Let's put the plastic thing on. This is probably the next step. So this should sit flush with the screen in it. There you go. The screen's actually held in place now. Ta-da! It kind of loses some of its original charm not having the green screen, but it's also nice not having the big pixel poo on the front of it as well. Our bracket's screwed down. We can drop all the buttons back into place. Plug our motherboard ribbon cable back in without bending it. Oh no, the button, one of the buttons has popped up from underneath. Okay, cool. So there's 2 little pins there, and where'd the other one go? There, that locate the rubber for the button, and if the button pops off, they don't line up. So if it's not dropping down properly, it's because one of your buttons has... So now that that's in place, I can put a couple of screws in it, and the next thing we have to do is unsolder the old speaker and solder it onto here. Also, that bit where I said put these screws in, don't do that yet. They go on after this is flipped on. Given how old and simple this speaker is and the fact that both wires are the same color, I'm pretty sure there's no positive and negative, it doesn't really matter. So I'll just put a bit of tension on the wires with my finger. Should be able to heat it up and it'll just pull straight out. Easy. Installing it on the other side's pretty much just the reverse. Pop it in. These screws aren't done up super tight yet, so this still fits. We can just poke the wires through the holes, add a bit of solder to it. The correct way to solder things like this is I see all sorts of people doing weird stuff like trying to brush the solder on and trying to hold the thing. All you do is I put the soldering iron on there, a second or two to get some heat into it, touch the solder, hold it for another second, and that's it. Do the same on the other side. That gets the solder, it gets the temperature up in the wire, the temperature up in the pad, the solder flows through, and then you should be left with a nice shiny dome. If you got a little spike coming off it where you've pulled the solder away, it was too cold, and if it goes a matte silver color, then you've got contamination in it, or it was cold, or you moved it or something. It should be a nice shiny silver dot. should match all the rest of the soldering on it. There's no easy way for me to film this ribbon connector, so just imagine it getting plugged in. Yep, fits. I even got some fingerprints on the screen, so that's good. You should always work on things like this with the batteries removed, so do as I say and not as I do. I've got to take them out after testing the screen. Alright, there's a couple screws in there. Moment of truth, volume up. Will I have sound? Will the screen come on? Here we go. Ah, that's not good. Oh no, there's no sound either. Yeah, okay, turn the rain off. Oh, the thing fell over. Oh, come on. Why? Okay, I just didn't have the ribbon connector plugged in the second time. That's good. So what I think happened before is I pinched the corner of the screen under the mount for it. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to put the screen in the mount first and then attach it to the case of the Game Boy rather than the other way around. Probably smarter to have done that the first time, but I didn't think of it. At least we get to do a second peel now, and I get a second chance at not putting fingerprints on the screen. Oh, I ruined it. Nice. Okay, that's sitting properly now. This little board doesn't like to sit in the right place, and I think that's what squashed my screen. Okay, so the screen's in the rear bracket now. It's actually a tighter fit than I thought. It like snaps in there, and I didn't have it snapped in properly, and I think I got squashed at a weird angle when I put the case on, but we should be right this time. I'm gonna extra double check that it is sitting flat all the way around, which it kind of looks like it isn't. No, we good, I think. You don't need to see me assemble the rest of it. I'll chuck it back together and then hopefully it works this time. Alright, fingers crossed this time or this is going to start getting expensive. Thank God, it works. Ding! Now the screens are working. I think the piece we're looking forward to the most is a new front panel. So originally these are plastic, and this aftermarket one has a slightly bigger open area for where we machine the case out. And the best bit is, this is glass now, so it's nicer than the original. Here we go, this is the bit where I don't glue this on. I ran out of SD card space just as I was peeling this off. That would have been disappointing if I missed sticking this bit on. I'm going to go on this side first, I reckon. Oh, this is such a mistake trying to do it while I'm looking at the camera. Oh, it's a tight fit. Yeah, nice. Ready? Ready? Yeah. Oh no, it's underneath the edge. We good. Look at that, like brand new. So now that this is working, I can show you some of the coolest things about this. As well as the screen being backlit and slightly bigger, the knob on the side that used to be the contrast is now a button and an up down switch. So if I click it, we can turn the brightness up and down. And then if I press it and flick it, it lets us change the color, which is pretty awesome. So it starts off with like the default looking original Game Boy green. We can go through with pretty much every color, and there's a few like inverted ones and whatever we want, which is really cool. But the coolest bit we have to take a slightly closer look for. So we're looking super closely at the screen now. You can see all the individual pixels because obviously this is an old dot matrix display, except we've removed the old dot matrix display and it's now an LCD. These pixels are actually fake and the screen kit is adding the pixels in. What we can do is if we double click and hold the wheel on the side, it removes those pixels. And this is what the game actually looks like coming straight off the card, not being made to look more pixelated by the screen. So just to show you from further away now, I'm super impressed with how well this works. This is the fake, like it's called Retro Pixel. It looks super convincing. It looks exactly like the original screen looked, but with a backlight. Now if I put it out of Retro Pixel mode, back to normal mode, that's so cool. It makes such a big difference. So it's really cool. This is exactly what the game looks like as it's supposed to look like out of the cartridge without the limitations of the screen. The fact that they've fit this little control to do all that, change the color, change the brightness, change between Retro Pixel mode into the thing, into the one control is awesome. Fits in the same case. We'll give it a quick test with the Game Boy camera, which is what I'm putting this Game Boy together for, and we'll see how the camera looks. So I've got my motorbike jacket on the couch here. You can see with this screen now, compared to what it was like in the last video with the camera, I can actually see what's on the screen. So this is with the Retro Pixel mode turned off. I'll just turn it on. That's with Retro Pixel turned on. Here's a quick demo with a photo off the camera with the Retro Pixel mode. That's what it looks like with the Retro Pixel mode on, which looks exactly like the original Game Boy but with a backlight. Now we turn it off. Double press. That's so much better. This is going to be 100 times better for taking photos, especially because I moved the photos to the computer afterwards. Now I can see what they actually look like once they're going to be on a bigger screen. So I think that about ends that video. I'm super happy with how this came out. It's going to be so much better for taking photos and stuff now. Now that I've got the lens going, I've got the screen that I can actually see, unlike the old screen. I'm super keen to take this out to some car meets, and I'm keen to do a drift day and get like an infield photography position and take some photos of all the cars. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 10,000 subscribers. I put videos up on Friday, and yeah, hopefully you like the video. This is going to be out soon. You'll see future videos on this when I'm out taking photos with it, and I'll see everyone next time. Goodbye.